5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got Chelsea Gold in the Landi Lodge today. Chelsea Gold, how are we doing?
I'm good. I'm really full. We just had lunch.
Just went to Fireside Deli. Small little shout out.
And I'm happy to be here.
Hell yeah. Well, tell everybody listening a little bit about yourself. You just became a fully fledged registered dietitian?
Yeah, licensed registered dietitian in the state of New York.
All right. Well, what did you have to do to be, what does that entail, becoming a licensed dietitian? What kind of schooling does that require? Were there any sort of certifications you had to get?
Yeah. So
unwrap that a little bit.
Schooling, you need certain undergraduate requirements, like a bachelor's degree in nutrition dietetics through a program that is associated with the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So not every school that has a nutrition program will equate to the path you need to be on to be a registered dietitian. There's only one on Long Island.
And which school was that?
Long Island University Post.
Cool.
Yeah, they were good. They a lot of very educated, well-known registered dietitians were my teachers, and I went for 2 years because I have another bachelor's degree in something else, so I had prerequisites already finished, which was really nice. So I did that for 2 years, and then you have to get into a very competitive dietetic internship where you pay to work for free. And they can be very expensive, and it's very competitive. It's a matching program, so like you apply to whatever ones you want, and you rank them, and then they rank you. So you match with whichever one ranks you at the same place. Luckily,
wow.
Yeah. So it's very common not to get a dietetic internship, especially your first time applying. Luckily, I did.
There you go.
I applied, I got in, and I just completed my dietetic internship where I went around in all different aspects of nutrition dietetics. Everywhere from like clinical in a hospital to like women, infant, and children, WIC, to like private practice. And I finished that in June. And then you take the RD exam, which is a very hard exam to pass. Basically, every question is ranked differently. You have no idea what it's really on.
Well, what are some of the things you're being questioned on? Like, what's on the RD exam? What is just paint a broad picture of what some of the required knowledge is to be a registered dietitian?
So, knowing the medical nutritional therapy that you would do for specific diseases, how certain medications interact with certain foods, certain vitamins and minerals, what are sources of them, what happens if you have a deficiency or a toxicity of them. You really have to know the nitty-gritty of everything.
So from what I'm trying to understand is you're basically learning how to cater to certain individuals' needs. Individuals who may have an autoimmune disorder, certain individuals who, I don't know, maybe their metabolism is faster than the average rate. Is it things along those lines? You're kind of just learning how to apply certain diets or nutritional aspects to people with different kinds of deficiencies?
Yes and no. So really what they teach you is more of the mainstream Western medicine aspect of it. So you do a lot in the clinical sphere in hospitals where you'll see people who are diabetic, who have heart disease or high blood pressure, or who have gastro issues. Or so it's not necessarily like autoimmune disease is now becoming a really big thing, but that's not really Western medicine. So the functional part of it, or the holistic part of it, is not not really taught, unfortunately, but they are starting to grow and understand that people have autoimmune diseases and want to live a more holistic lifestyle. So they are dabbling in it, but it's not like something we learn.
Okay. Now, I definitely want to take us back a little bit now that we've pretty much established where you are modern day. What would you say was the catalyst to you wanting to go down this road and become a registered dietitian?
So I started a food blog where I took pictures. I developed recipes for a certain diet that I was following at that time. And I had a lot of people with autoimmune diseases coming to me asking me for dietary advice because I was a growing blog. I had a lot of views. I had a lot of Instagram following, and they came to me for advice, and I didn't feel like I was educated enough because all I was doing was Googling until I came across whatever a registered dietitian was. I didn't know. And I was like, ooh, I should totally do that because then I can legally help people and then I can learn more about other things other than autoimmune diseases. Well, I did that and I didn't learn anything about autoimmune diseases, but a lot more about all the other aspects.
Well, I think it's fairly noble of you because I'm sure there's a plethora of different kinds of people on the internet who obtain some kind of following and then kind of apply sort of a I know everything sort of attitude to it. But I commend you for having the self-awareness to know, like, hey, these people are coming to me for legitimate help and all I'm doing is Googling. Mm-hmm. So good for you, going to school, getting your knowledge in order, getting your degree in order, getting that. So what is the title for, like, I saw on Instagram you posted it was like MS or you're an official.
So I have my master. Well, I have my master's. I graduate with my master's in December, so I have my master's. I finished all the coursework. I'm done with it. So I'm Chelsea Gold, MS in December, RD, registered dietitian, and then once I pay my licensure dues, I'll be CDN.
Awesome.
Certified dietitian nutritionist, something like that. I don't know what it means.
Fair enough.
But it's letters.
Hell yeah. Well, I've seen you, this is something you've been doing for years, and I've been following your content for a very long time. I've seen it grow, and I've seen it change. What do you see for the future for Chelsea Gold Nutrition? Which, by the way, before you continue, where can the listeners find you?
You can find me at Chelsea Gold Nutrition on Instagram, my website, Facebook, Chelsea Gold, my name.
And the website's currently under construction, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have everybody stay tuned for when that relaunches. So what is your main objective with Chelsea Gold Nutrition? Are you trying to apply programs to your clients? Are you trying to inspire them to find what diet works for them? What is the main goal for Chelsea Gold Nutrition?
Right. So I really want to work with women who are going through an autoimmune disease, gut health issues, or any hormone imbalances, which you see way more often these days, who are just sick and tired of feeling tired all the time, not knowing what to do. Their doctors aren't giving them answers. And I really want to help give them the tools to heal.
Well, is that something that you yourself went through?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I personally have 3 autoimmune diseases that I was diagnosed with. I've had eating disorders, I've had anemia, I've had all of these things that I thought my journey would really be able to help other people.
Well, that's really great. And I think you're going to find that if you haven't helped people already, a lot of people are going to be able to take massive amount of value from where you've came from, what you've done, and definitely where you're going.
I hope so. That's the goal.
Well, let me ask you, are you looking to specifically just guide women because you're coming from a place of your own experience that you can actually understand what it is they're going through? Or are your programs and your advice open to men too?
So I would gladly help a man who is struggling. I'm not going to turn anyone away because I was put on this earth to help people. But I can resonate more with women. My ideal client is a female. I've worked really hard on really niching down who I want to target because I know I can help them.
So what are some of the diet trends that you have seen pay off for you?
Pay off for me. So it's ever changing, and just as a disclaimer, whatever works for me may not work for someone else. This is just my own personal journey. But I was very morbidly obese throughout high school, and I decided once I went to college I would try the paleo diet, which they call the caveman diet. Basically meat, vegetables, fruit, nuts, seeds, anything you could gather
from the wild,
right,
without any kind of modification.
Right.
Gotcha.
So that I did for 5 years, and I had lost 85 pounds. I was great. Everything was, my hormones were in check. My lab levels were amazing. And that's when I started my food blog and had people asking me. So I decided to go back to school. And through that, I realized just a little story about me.
Go for it.
I had all of a sudden gained 70 pounds in less than a year. My joints were hurting me. I was tired all the time. Stress would take a lot out of me. Anytime I did physical activity, I wouldn't recover for 3 weeks, which is a really long time for someone who used to weight lift and Olympic lift and all that stuff. So I decided, hey, something's wrong. I should go to a doctor. And they all kept telling me, no, you're normal.
You're fine.
You're fine.
Gotcha.
And then I went to a functional practitioner who was like, your levels, yeah, they may seem fine for Western medicine, but you're at the tippy top or the very bottom of those levels, which is not functional. Like you can't function.
So
like
your levels
that.
were, while they were like with, I guess, just to make sure I'm understanding. So your levels were within the proper scale. The problem was it was too volatile. You were either towards the tippy top of the scale or towards the very bottom. So essentially, I guess it wasn't stable. Like maybe your levels were normal, but they were, I guess, in danger of crossing the line.
Yes, but no. So I get what you're saying, and kind of, but with Western medicine, you have such a wide range when it comes to lab levels. So like certain hormone levels, insulin levels, all that stuff go from like very little to like really high. So there's a huge range. And if you're within that range, you're considered fine. But in functional, they really narrow down that range, because anything outside of that really narrowed range, your body isn't at optimal, like you're not working.
Right.
So there's obviously something going on, but for Western medicine, that's fine. We're not going to give you medication. You're good. But when you look at it more of a holistic level, how your body's really functioning, your body can't function with those lab levels. Something's off.
Gotcha. So with that in mind, and now that you went to the proper practitioner who told you that, where did you move forward from there? So with that knowledge, where did you go?
Yeah. So I started my own journey in terms of diet, figuring out what I may be sensitive to, what could be causing all this inflammation that's going on. Because I really feel that food is connected to everything that I was feeling, in terms of the weight gain, the feeling tired, my muscles hurting, joints, all that stuff. Diet is a huge integral part of that. So if I'm eating foods that my body doesn't like or I'm sensitive to, I'm going to become inflamed or get sick. So I started taking the correct supplements I needed. I started an elimination diet, so I can really see specifically what's bothering me. We were talking about this before, but I just found out eggs don't work well with me, which sucks because eggs are in everything. But at least I know that's one thing I can not have and not feel so sick that I'm out for a whole day.
So do you find that, because just I guess to shine a little light on the conversation we had before, you were looking to reintroduce eggs into your diet, and then the day after you did that, it was like your normal routine or the way your body normally functioned kind of started to shut down. You said you felt very depressed the next day, that you were unmotivated, which isn't normal for you.
Right.
Like you said, you're the kind of person who gets up early in the morning, has their routine, go,
Sing
go,
my
go.
day.
Exactly. So do you find that when people commit themselves to a diet that they start to become more sensitive to the things they shouldn't be having? Because like you've been eating eggs your whole life, I guess, and then you committed yourself to this diet, and then when you went back to eggs, it smacked you. So do you think people become more sensitive to the foods they shouldn't be eating when they stop eating them?
No.
Okay.
I think that
maybe you always felt that way after eating eggs, you just never noticed it?
Right, because when I ate eggs my whole life, I would always eat other things with those eggs.
Right.
Also, feeling sick was such a norm for me throughout my childhood until now that, like, I just assumed everyone had those problems.
Fair.
Everyone needed to go to the bathroom. Everyone got sick after all of this. You know, I didn't acknowledge it for a really long time until now. So I'm now realizing how much, because I didn't really have a problem before. Like, it didn't affect me. I went paleo. Everything was fine. Little did I know, I probably put everything into remission. And then now with stress and not having the convenience of cooking all my meals and school and all that stuff, my whole metabolism got out of whack, and just my hormones are off, your adrenals get fatigued. Like there's just so much that even stress or anything plus diet are such an integral part of healing that like I'm now slowly learning that those two huge factors affect me more than anything else. So with that specific food, I don't think your sensitivity increases when you take it out. But now I know specifically eggs and I don't get along.
There you go. And you can move forward from that. So do you find, because we've all heard the phrase, you are what you eat. And I feel like we've always applied that to our bodies. You know, if you eat well, your body looks well. I think what we're starting to discover, and maybe this is something you were kind of pushing on when you were talking before, but that we are what we eat in our mental health too, not just our physical health. It's like to eat well for yourself is to do well for your mind.
Right.
You know, if you're eating junk all day, you know, your gut's going to send all those sugars in, you know, I don't know anything. I don't know the science behind it. But, you know, none of us feel good after drinking a bunch of alcohol. None of us feel good after eating 600 calories of candy.
Right.
And I think it's more than just how you physically feel. It's going to move itself into how you mentally feel as well.
Your body has specific processes that it has to go through to break down everything that you're giving it. Mm-hmm. So if you're giving it crap, it will probably take a lot longer to break it down. So therefore it's sitting there and you're not feeling well. It's just is what it is. In terms of the gut has a huge connection to every single thing your body does.
Well, it's like we were talking about before. There are more things in your gut connected to your brain than any other organ.
Oh, yeah. Like, we are just skimming the surface in terms of science of what we're finding the gut is capable of. But gut health, I would say, is the number one thing. If you're not feeling right and something's off, get your gut in check.
Well, what could somebody do to get their gut in check or get their gut checked? Like, who could they go to?
So you would probably be you could either go to a gastroenterologist, depending on their beliefs or their trainings. They may not really go where you're looking, but it's possible. Also a functional practitioner. They could be a nurse practitioner, functional MD, holistic, as long as they have the doctor or nurse credential. Mm-hmm. You could get stool tests. You could get, there's a bunch of different tests that you can do. Mm-hmm. But in terms of foods that help your gut, anything that's fermented, so kimchi, sauerkraut, probiotics, yogurts without those added sugars in them. Mm-hmm. Probiotics are huge. So they come in pill form, they come in liquid form, they're in everything now.
I was going to say, aren't there natural probiotics in yogurt?
Yes. So lactobacillus, which is like a strain, is a very common one you'll see. So if you're looking on the ingredients, you're like, what is that? That is a good thing for you. There are other ones like Clostridium. They're really hard to pronounce, but they're all strains of bacteria that your gut really feeds on. So your gut uses prebiotics and probiotics. The prebiotics are what feeds the probiotics. So you
need
how does that both.
Work?
So in your gut, I don't know the exact science off of it, but you have your prebiotics, right? And then those are like the good bacteria that your probiotics want to eat to get everything, your microbiome working well. So the better balance you have of those, the more your gut will be healthy.
Gotcha. Okay. And I want to touch back on something you mentioned earlier when you were talking about how different diets work for different people. Seeing as you're becoming well-knowledge and working with people who have autoimmune disorders, do you find that similar diets work for the same autoimmune disorder? Like, or is it really just different for everybody? It's like if you and I had the same autoimmune disorder, would you say that the same diet would work well for both of us? Or do we really need to find an individual diet for both you and I?
So I'm team individualized, but there are definitely nutrients.
It's probably like templates you can build off of or something, right?
Yeah, but I think that there's more like if you had a thyroid problem, there are definitely things that the thyroid likes or doesn't like. If you had IBS, there are definitely things that you would take out that you would, you know what I mean? But in terms of everyone. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty, like, eggs.
Exactly. Perfect example.
You may have exactly what I have, but you can handle eggs. I can't. It's very individualized that way. But in terms of like how you approach diets in general, I would do the same thing. So like I would go over what the person likes to eat. I would go over what they have, and like the thyroid, for example. Dairy is a big thing that the thyroid just doesn't get along with. So I would say, okay,
does that have anything to do with the fact, because I know the thyroid is in your throat, right?
Or it's right like in
front of it. Does
that
have anything to do with the fact that dairy clogs your vocal cords? Because I know me, like when it came to singing, we weren't supposed to have any dairy before you were going to sing. Like if you were going to sing on Saturday, you didn't have any dairy on Saturday because dairy clogged the vocal cords. So I don't know if maybe that has something to do with it.
I've never heard of it. It's possible. I wouldn't, like the term clogging, I don't think it's true. I think it's more like, I don't know if you've heard, like when you're sick or you have cough or phlegm, you don't have dairy because it's like supposed to make phlegm, which is now debunked. That's not true. Like dairy doesn't do that. Okay. But that's where I think that's going to, but I don't know. I've never heard. But
that might be worth looking into.
Yeah, because that's interesting, especially for that population of people. Like that would be good to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I mean, I've met a lot of people who have a thyroid problem. So do you find that's one of the more common autoimmune disorders, or what's the most common?
Hashimoto's.
Hashimoto's
is the most common in America. So basically what Hashimoto's is your thyroid thinks it's a foreign object and it's building antibodies to attack itself. So that's going to cause your thyroid levels to drop, which you need your thyroid hormones to
Yeah.
function. They really are the signals.
What do the if it's all right with me asking, what do the thyroid hormones do? Like, why do we need it to function?
Right. So weight, they have a huge integral part in weight, insulin levels. They're really a part of most hormone functionality systems, because they'll either like initiate the like they'll initiate that hormone will initiate another hormone to secrete to do something else. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like, so it really, there's a lot, especially with the thyroid.
It sounds like the thyroid's a regulator of sorts.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I could see why that might be important.
Yeah, and so a lot of people have Hashimoto's, which that's happening, and they don't have the right. Doctors are just giving medication out, which is fine. You know, like, you do need that synthetic hormone to really thrive and function, but you know, they're not really going over how diet plays a role, which I think is super important.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. What do you think? You say Hashimoto's is the most common here in America. Do you think there's a reason for that?
Yeah.
Well, let's unwrap that one a little bit.
I definitely think genetics has a lot to do with it, but also just our culture in terms of processed foods, processed everything, plastic everything. Mold is a huge thing. Yeast overgrowth, which comes from mold or certain foods or chemicals. There's a lot that we're putting into our bodies and around our bodies that our bodies don't know what to do with. So the functions in our bodies are now getting like basically toxic, and they don't function properly, which is sad.
Well, I mean, yes, it's sad, but it's going to help you get a job.
True. Hire me. Very true. No, but I think that there's a lot we can do to limit that exposure to all of those things.
Well, what are some of the, what would you suggest? How would I put this? What would medical practitioner, official nutritionist Chelsea Gold recommend?
And so
did I do that okay?
Yeah, well,
okay.
It's dietitian, not nutritionist. Anyone can be a nutritionist.
Fair enough. See, now that's important.
Yeah, that's an interesting fact. But so there are a lot of things you could do around you in terms of limiting those toxins that are hormone disruptors, which things like looking out what's in your shampoo, your conditioner, your deodorant, your perfume, the foods you eat, what kind of chemicals are they surrounded by? Do they have pesticides? Do you have mold where you're living? That is a big, big thing. A lot of people don't realize they have mold in their home, and you're inhaling that.
Yep.
And that is a huge hormone disruptor. People get so sick.
Well, where are some of the more common places where mold might be hiding?
Your ceiling, your bathroom, if not done properly, where air conditioners are. So if they're leaking, anywhere that can get like pretty moist and wet. I hate that word. Moist? I can't believe I just said it.
You said it. That's it.
I hate that word. But anywhere where there's water has access to and can grow that mold is a big trigger. So, but it also depends on how old your house was. Like,
that's what trips me out about so many of these things. There's just so many variables in play. It's hard to keep up with all of them. You know,
it's really hard.
It's almost like some of these things, whether it be like Hashimoto's or anything else, might in some cases be inevitable for a giant chunk of the population, because how many people are checking for mold in the apartments they live in?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's a direct correlation between mold and Hashimoto's, but there are ways to live a less toxic lifestyle to limit the hormone disruptors that you could be inhaling, which could affect Hashimoto's, but there's no I don't
concrete
think
link between Hashimoto's and mold.
I don't think that there is, but I know in terms of living a non-toxic lifestyle, that's really a good place. It's expensive to get it checked out, and there's tests and stuff, but it's kind of scary. I don't want to live with mold.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why I guess it's good to have the knowledge you have, because now whenever you look to live somewhere, you're gonna make sure there's none of that lying around.
Definitely,
which is a good thing.
Because you don't a lot of people get sick.
Oh yeah. So what would you say to somebody who doesn't know how many people do you think are out there that are living that don't know they have an autoimmune disorder?
Oh, a lot. There's a lot of statistics on that. more than half
Don't
know they even have anything.
More than half the population, or more than half the people infected with autoimmune?
More than half the people infected with autoimmune.
Okay, I was really scared that 170 million Americans
Can you imagine?
had autoimmune
It's possible.
disorders. Well, no, I feel like we're getting there with like, I'm going to completely botch what I heard, but it's along the lines of diabetes that like half the population is already like pre-diabetic, which doesn't mean they have diabetes. It just means they now are in danger of developing diabetes.
Right. So they're a lot closer to it than the average, which is true. Especially with the obesity epidemic, and the food that us as Americans consume, and just the marketing. Diabetes is a huge issue. And pre-diabetes, I mean, obesity, insulin.
And we're mostly talking about type 2 diabetes, right? The one that you develop yourself through poor habits.
Right. So type 1 you are born with.
You're genetic, yep.
Right. Type 2 you develop through you could develop it through multiple different things. But what's nice with type 2 diabetes is that diet can definitely reverse that and really help. And you don't need to be on insulin. And depends where you are in terms of your diagnosis, but there are ways to reverse it, which is good.
Well, I think it's an important topic to talk about, and I don't want to make it political in any regards, but for someone who has type 2 diabetes, it costs millions upon millions of dollars to medicate that person over a lifetime.
Yeah, if they need medication, yeah, I mean, definitely. If they don't want to make the lifestyle changes, yeah. 100%.
Well, that's what I'm saying is if we live in a world where we allow half of our population to have type 2 diabetes, the entire medical industry is going to be overhauled.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very expensive, and especially medication these days. A lot of these like privately owned labels are making it really hard to be able to afford the things that people need to survive, which is
well, it's like, well, who's that Pharma Bro guy? Was it Martin? I think his first name was Martin. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
He, okay, you know what? Then fuck it.
Not at all.
We'll just jump right over that one.
The only example I know of that is the EpiPen.
That's who I'm talking about.
Oh, he's a farmer?
No, not farmer. Pharma Bro.
Oh.
Like, yeah.
Like Big Pharma?
Like Big Pharma,
I thought you meant the farmer bro. And I'm like, no, I don't know who that
not the farmer bro. Pharma Bro.
Yes.
He took the EpiPen and he, like, jumped the price.
They made it, like $800 for one.
When it used to cost, what, like 40?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Like less than 100, I think. I mean, I don't know.
We don't know the hard number, but
they increased it to, like, over 250%. And I remember I watched the court, like the
hearing?
Yes, thank you. And the what's it called? The judge was like, "What did you do to deserve a 500% increase?" And the lady was like, "Nothing." And the judge was like, okay, you need to do something about this because you can't afford, like, I'm sorry, when people have allergies where they're going to go into anaphylactic shock, so their airways are going to close, they're going to die. They don't have an EpiPen right then and there, and the ambulance isn't coming to administer that medication that they need to stop their airways from closing, they are going to die. People need EpiPens.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, if you're charging $800 per EpiPen, you have to keep in mind, I think they did a study that like 25 to 30% or more of the American population can't handle an emergency of like $1,500 or more.
Yeah, they can't afford it.
And so, God forbid, that person who can't handle that emergency needs an EpiPen or two. They're fucked.
Yeah, or they didn't get the EpiPen and they have to now pay the hospital bills.
Yeah.
Which is a huge problem.
And that's considering whether or not they have health insurance. Because if that person doesn't have health insurance, they're boned.
Or they're
done
just
for.
Dead on the floor.
Synonym for boned, I suppose.
Not funny, but it's sad. But
well,
now, luckily,
if we don't laugh, we cry. So.
Yeah, but now, luckily, I'm pretty sure it's under control.
I actually think that he might get locked up, or they locked him up.
I don't know.
Like that
Was ridiculous because you know what? My mom has like an anaphylactic allergy where she carries an EpiPen, and we are a very lucky family, but like we couldn't even afford that. Yeah. Like that's ridiculous.
Well,
and you need
Nassau
a new
County.
one every like few years. Like that's ridiculous. It's not fair.
And that's very telling because we live in Nassau County, which is one of the richest counties in the entire country, if not the world. And you're telling me that a well-off family can't afford the
I mean, we could, but like we would have had to like
but it puts a dent.
Right.
I mean, 2 EpiPens is a mortgage payment.
Yeah, it's like, just
I don't
not
know if
cool.
that's balanced.
It really was. I think as a medical professional, that was a huge issue, and I'm glad that is solved. And like other people, including the judges, saw that like that wasn't okay.
Well, there was, like you said, there was no logic or reason to increase the price by 500% or 250%, whatever it was. It's not like the EpiPen became 250% better.
Right.
It's the same damn EpiPen.
It's the same thing that they put in the EpiPen. But what I don't understand is, like, there's so many people with allergies. You're making I'm sorry, but they're making a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't, what do they need with another couple million more? Like, right. They're fine.
Well, that's the thing, though, is people like that who have all the money in the world, it's like, there's nothing, it's never enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it becomes a game at that point. But now I want to move on to something else. Okay. I want to bring up some diet trends to you, and I want you to tell me what you think of these diet trends. Okay. Don't hold back. If you want to plead the fifth, we can plead the fifth. I know there's some sensitive people out there, but let's get started. Let's start with the most popular one, everybody's favorite. What do you think of those vegans out there?
I think veganism is great. I actually just read a study on plant-based diet and just health in America, and it really seems that a plant-based diet is ideal.
Now, is that plant-based meaning no meat at all, or majority plant, little bit of meat?
No,
what do you mean by ideal?
No meat.
No meat.
Veganism.
You think veganism is the ideal diet?
Science does.
Science does.
I can understand. I can respect that. I know that fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds do wonders for your body, and I think that that's awesome. I like eating meat. I like eating chicken. Okay. I like eating seafood, so that for me doesn't fit in with my lifestyle. But in terms of science, I can see that. I definitely know what other food gives you that many benefits, vitamins, nutrients in one serving.
Couldn't tell you.
None.
Definitely not ground beef. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as much as you and I might love ground beef. Mm-hmm. So on the opposite end, this is I guess a new developing trend. What do you think of the carnivore diet? The people out there eating nothing but meat, beef, salt, and water. That's it.
Yeah. I think that's sad for them because they probably don't go to the bathroom that easily. But no, I don't know enough science-based evidence on that.
Well, I know a lot of the people who are doing the carnivore diet, it's not like the vegan diet where it's like, oh, it's ideal for us to all just do this. A lot of the people doing that diet actually have autoimmune disorders. And they find that a carnivore diet actually helps them. Doesn't help everybody.
Interesting.
Doesn't help everybody.
Yeah.
Because, it's like the same as different heads, different meds.
Right. I just feel like eating a diet that's solely protein-based is just, you're not going to benefit in the long run.
Well, I think the way I've had it explained to me, and I'm definitely going to disqualify myself and tell you I don't know shit about how this works, but the way I've had it sort of explained to me was like, because you're only eating like beef, salt, and water, or meat, salt, and water, that your body doesn't necessarily need those other vitamins and nutrients anymore, because, again, I don't know.
No, right.
I'm the wrong person to explain this.
I haven't researched this diet at all, so I honestly really don't know much about it. Yeah. But it depends where you get your meat from.
Definitely.
Depends what the meat was fed.
Can't be having Walmart meat.
Sorry, yeah. Well, it depends. They have grass-fed meat, but
I'm just in the world where if Walmart tells me it's grass-fed, I don't believe them.
Well,
it's just fucking.
That would be illegal of them, but
how are you gonna investigate that? Well, bring us the cow you slaughtered. I want to know its diet.
No. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I feel like where your meat comes from is very important. Just as a
I get my
where your meat come from is and what it was fed is just the most important thing if you do consume meat.
I get my grass-fed meat from Trader Joe's. Do I get the Chelsea Gold stamp of approval?
Yes, because that's fine.
Boom.
I love it comes like frozen, ready to go.
How often do you shop at Trader Joe's?
Like 3 times a week.
I fucking love that place so much.
It's busy though. That's the problem.
Well, you gotta know when to go.
I know.
Honestly, early Saturday mornings, the one by me.
Monday afternoons. I'm telling you, all the moms go to their yoga classes between 11 and 1. That's the time to go. Although lunchtime is then. So really 11 to like 11:30 is prime time because everyone's just arriving at that time.
I've gone straight after work and it's pretty empty.
Maybe the one near you.
Maybe the one near me is not doing so hot. Yeah.
Is like right by Roosevelt Field Mall and it's like insane.
Well, let me ask you, how do you feel about the fact that all of our food is about to come from Amazon? Let's be honest. It's gonna happen. They bought Whole Foods.
I know.
We don't have to go to the store anymore. They'll drop it on our fucking porch. How do you feel about that? All our food's gonna come from one company.
So, I'm mixed. I definitely like a variety, but I am a huge advocate for Amazon. Like, I love Amazon Prime. I've been a member for like 6 years now. Like, literally
some of
from
the best
beginning.
money I ever spent.
Like, I don't know if I spend money on it, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure I signed up with a free account because I was one of like the first people.
So you just don't get charged?
I don't know.
We're not going to put it on.
I've never actually looked.
Don't say it on the air. They'll
Right.
investigate you.
But it's definitely possible. But no, it's I love Amazon. I'm all about it. I buy everything from my toothbrush to my shoes on there.
Oh, damn.
But I'm also just a little lazy sometimes.
It's not even lazy. But it's like, if I could save the 1 hour, it's like 1 hour is a lot of time. 1 hour is a lot of time. You can get a lot done in an hour if you can stay focused. It's like if Amazon wants to save me the 1 hour trip to the grocery store so I could refunnel it into something like this podcast
Right.
or mixing stuff or playing
Right.
guitar, it's like, yeah, okay, Amazon, you could bring the apples to my doorstep.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Like,
I'm iffy. So, like, yeah, I'm all for that when I need something delivered and I don't have time to go get it, bring it to my door. But honestly, my dad and I, like, our favorite thing to do together is go to different food stores and just walk around and, like, buy random crap. So, like, I love walking around Whole Foods. I love walking around Trader Joe's when they're not busy, because when they're busy, it's, like, anxiety filled.
well, because it's a small place.
But it's fun. I don't know. That's
I
just
know.
like a...
I have fun. I have fun sometimes when I go food shopping because, like, usually when I'm going food shopping, I'm also picking what I'm eating throughout the next couple weeks. I'm also picking what I'm eating that night.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm creating it's like, you go to those places, create your own salad, create your own burger. It's like, well, you're in a grocery store, create your own goddamn dinner.
I think it depends on the circumstances of what's going on in your life at that moment.
Well, yeah, never go to the store hungry. Never go to the store if you have to go to the bathroom. Never go to the store if you just had a panic attack. Never go to the store if you're having crazy anxiety.
Never go to the store.
never
Moral
go
of the story.
Amazon!
No.
Having anxiety? Use Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
you don't
I
got to go out and see
do.
people.
I literally, I'm
You're on the Prime wave?
bad at, I order everything.
On Amazon? That's not
I don't
bad,
do
though.
food shopping. Like, I do like going food shopping,
still
but
go
I
food
order like
shopping.
food items online.
Like food items,
Like chia seeds, cashews.
Gosh, like nuts
Like, I
and
won't get
stuff
like
like
fresh
that.
produce from Amazon, but like I'll buy things.
That's going to be a wonder whether or not the fresh produce from Amazon's any good.
I've tried like Instacart when I
Yeah?
was like, oh, I'm recipe developing. I really do like, it's either cook something or go food shopping and they'll just deliver it.
Have you
It's
ever done
very
the Fruit of
expensive.
the Month Club?
No, fruit of the month.
Fruit of the Month Club.
Do
I
you
don't
know
know.
they have a sausage of the month club?
What?
Our friend got that for her boyfriend
I
one
eat like
year.
3 different types of. Oh,
Yeah.
that's gonna sound so dirty, but I eat 3 different types of. I eat like 3 different types of sausages a week. I love.
Yeah, no,
I love sausage. Go ahead and meme
you're
it.
a sausage
Go
lover.
ahead and meme it. Go ahead and meme
No,
it.
it's they. I feel like they have month of the club for everything, but
Well, I don't know if you remember because this was back in high school, but J-Rob signed up Pat for the Fruit of the Month
No
Club as a surprise.
way.
Yeah, as a surprise.
as a surprise,
As a surprise. Hey, Pat, I signed you up for the Fruit of the Month Club.
doesn't that cost
It
money?
was like $150. It was like it wasn't a cheap gift. Like,
Oh man,
so the fruit was good.
of
The
course
fruit
it
was
is.
really good.
Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know. You don't know where it comes from. It's not because it's like, they could send you any fruit from anywhere.
Yeah, but like wash it and eat it.
Yeah. Do you wash your meat?
No.
You don't wash your meat.
Bacteria. You're not supposed to wash your meat.
I always wash my meat. Are you sure?
Because now you're
I
getting
might debate
all
you on
of
this.
that bacteria inside your sink.
So clean your sink.
Who actually takes the time to clean their sink?
Someone who doesn't have a dishwasher.
So do you clean your sink every time you cook meat?
I do not clean my sink
You clean
after
your
every
sink.
time I eat meat.
And how do you clean your sink? Because not everything kills the things that meat
So
has.
and this could be a dumb question, so feel free to slam me with it.
Okay.
If I clean my meat in the sink, again, this is
But why do you need to wash your meat?
because isn't there just shit on it, just like there's shit on an apple?
No, there's no pesticides on meat.
I don't know. I've just always been told you're supposed to wash your meat.
So that's a very old
Maybe-
school
yeah.
thing to do because they did. That's what they thought they needed to do to clean it off. But what I learned in school, again, this could be wrong. I learned it from one teacher. That doesn't mean it's right. That this may just be her beliefs. Who knows? is that you don't wash it because the bacteria gets all over your sink, first of all, and which can give you food poison. Like, it can really mess you up.
Can fuck with you.
Or it's something where you're washing the, like, really good parts, that brown of the meat off. That makes meat good.
Well, let me ask you. Maybe I misfollowed you. So you said you shouldn't wash your meat in the sink because the bacteria will stick to the sink.
Right.
So it's like,
it goes into the water, which goes into the sink.
And I think I already know the answer to this question, but it's like, well, then if I don't wash it, aren't I eating that bacteria? Or does that bacteria die when it's cooked?
So salmonella
Yeah.
so is raw chicken, right?
Correct.
So you're now taking raw chicken.
You're putting the salmonella in the sink.
But then you're cooking it, which it gets destroyed by heat.
So is all the bacteria that clings to meat that's unhealthy will die just upon cooking it?
I don't know if all of them, because some bacteria are good and some bacteria are bad. But in terms of like foodborne illnesses, usually, well, with red meat, you can have it raw.
Yeah.
Depends how it's processed and taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like chicken, cooking it will definitely kill that.
Take care of it.
Usually. Now, obviously, there are times where you don't, but, normally, yes.
Okay. You know what's crazy? I'm such a stubborn asshole. I'm probably still going to wash my meat.
Go for it.
And I'm just going to wait till I find like 5 YouTube videos that tell me I'm an idiot before I believe you.
Go for it.
But,
that's fine. You don't have to believe me. I'm not. I'm not eating from here.
Fair enough. But now I'm going to watch you. Anytime you go near my sink, you're just going to be like peeking at it like...
I won't touch your sink now.
That's some red meat sink right there.
Gross.
So let me ask you. There seems to be, at least among like modern talks when it comes to diet and nutrition, people seem to be under the belief that red meat under no circumstances can be healthy for you. Are you from that camp of thought, or do you believe like a balanced meal with red meat can be healthy? Like if I had some, just a steak with asparagus, broccoli, and steamed carrots, is that a balanced, healthy meal, or is no matter what, is that red meal going to be a detriment? That red meat going to be a detriment to my health?
Like I said before, it matters where your meat comes from.
Trader Joe's steak.
Right. But like, I don't know anything about it. I just where your meat comes from is important. What it's fed is very important. In terms of like red meat being unhealthy for you, I don't know.
Okay.
Because
that's fair.
Honestly, my opinion changes on it. So I don't need to eat red meat. I'm okay. I'll eat it. If like we're going to a burger place, I'm going to get a burger. If I'm going to a steak place, I'm probably going to get a steak. But I don't need to eat red meat. I'm okay with other forms of protein. However, I also like the taste, but like, I don't know. There's a lot of studies about carcinogens in red meat. And I think it really depends on where your meat is coming from, how you're preparing it. So like direct heat, for instance, like the grill is probably not the best because of the carcinogens and the smoke.
What about stovetop?
Yeah, it depends on the kind of pan you have and the type of heat. So, like, are you electric? Are you, like, gas? Mm-hmm. I guess that's what it's called, right?
Yeah, no, gas stove.
So bad with that. But I really don't know. I'm very in the middle.
No, that's fair. No, I want to give you credit for just knowing the words I don't know, because I think it's a trap a lot of people fall into, where they're just going to feed me their opinion and tell me it's fact. But I appreciate you telling me you don't know.
No, unless I know something, I'll probably say I'm not 100, or, it's different for everyone.
I've seen it. No, I've seen it. I've seen it just on this podcast alone. There are things that, like, that you've just thrown in my face, and there are things where you're like, well, I don't know the science on this.
Right.
But this is the best of my understanding. So I'll give you credit for that.
Thanks.
Good for you. So what else you got going on? What's going on? You just graduated. You just finished that whole...
I'm, like, finished.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what's up?
The day I actually finished was Thursday. We had a huge random snowstorm where, like, it turned off the whole
Shut it
state.
Down. Yeah. Well, it's like nobody knew that was
no one
coming.
knew. But I was so bored because I had nothing to do. Like, I've been in school straight since, like, elementary school till now with my master's and 2 undergraduate degrees, high school,
Yeah.
I've never not had something to like study for or homework to do.
Congratulations.
Thank you. No, I'm like, honestly, it's like weird for me, but I really like it.
Well, yeah, no, it's the other side of the gate. It's like when you play, like when you first start playing a video game, there's like that tutorial that like teaches you the game. It's like, hey, these are what these buttons do. These are your objectives. It's like, well, you just finished that portion of your life. You just finished it. Now
20 years later,
now you're in the
it.
game.
Yeah, so that's the other nerve-wracking part. I would love to obviously, work one-on-one with people, and I'd love to have clients and just like really, really help people if they'll let me.
I'm sure they will.
I do have some clients where, it's really working, and it's just such a great community and place to have. I have a private Facebook group with a bunch of women who are going through the same thing, who just talk and give advice, and like we go over topics weekly. And like, for instance, this week, I mean, this doesn't interest you, which is another reason why I say I want to help women, is we're going over menstruation, hormones, the pill, a new thing that's called seed cycling, which isn't really new, but it's like coming alive again. I keep hitting this.
It's okay.
So like, it's just like topics that kind of fire me up that I know will fire them up and help them. But yeah, so running my own company, blogging, food development, recipe development, YouTube videos, podcasting.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you already had the infrastructure to get the ball rolling. It seems like you were prepared for this day when schooling was done.
Definitely. Well, having that food blog all throughout my undergrad really like helped gear me up for what I want to do with my life. It's now just changing in a way where I provide a service with expertise where I can help a specific population,
right,
which is definitely not what I was doing before, but I at least now have the infrastructure on how to like run a website, how to blog, how to run that part of it, which is cool.
That is pretty cool. I mean, it's funny because it's like today, it's like no matter what you want to be, whether you want to be a dietitian or whether you want to run a podcast or whether you want to be a yoga instructor, it's like everyone needs to learn some marketing now.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't used to be like that. Or maybe it did. I don't know. But at least I could say, like, right now, today, like, if you're trying to do anything, you need to have some understanding of marketing.
100%.
And luckily, I mean, we have tools now like social media, which make that easier than it's ever been.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Ooh.
Especially so I think social media within the past, maybe like 3 years ago, was so much easier to gain attraction than it is now. And using those things as marketing tools without paying has become a real struggle for a lot of different people. So I'm the kind of person where like I'm not going to pay to promote. Like, I'm just not. I don't think that that's right. I'm all for sponsorships, but I'm not, and obviously a disclaimer, but I'm not about to pay just so like 2,000 more people see my post. And it's not guaranteed to get me
that you get
a
follows or there's any returns. Yeah.
Right, like you're not guaranteed.
They could be showing it to bots for all we know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so I think marketing with social media is great, but if you're just getting started now, I can imagine it being a little more difficult.
Well, I'd have to agree with you because it's, at least in my own experience, it's nowhere near easy as it used to be to gain attraction on social media as it used to be. And I think what that came from is maybe there's some assholes like me that developed algorithms on how to cheat Instagram.
Ooh, yeah.
That now that they're making it more difficult, so assholes like me can't use their programming knowledge to automate.
Well, that's completely
profiles.
done.
I know.
Like, you can't use them anymore.
You're telling me. It's the way I used to make money.
Right. And it's like... Because you did that, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Like,
no, it's okay. It's okay.
I think it's really shitty. Like, I'm all for. I tried one. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I paid. I got followers. They liked things. I got comments.
Yeah, they were engaged. You would get engaged followers.
It was good, but then I started getting shadow banned. My pictures weren't showing up on hashtags. I literally stayed at a stagnant 4,000 followers for 3 years. Like, wouldn't go up, wouldn't go down. So, like, I'm kicking myself 3 years ago. You know what I mean? But now what's nice is I am finding, and through courses and really shadowing other professionals who, like, market themselves really well in the dietetics field. I try to say sphere and field at the same time just now, so I don't know what came up. But really niching down is like the key.
Well, it's like, this is something I say to people all the time. Like, it's better that you get 10 real followers than 1,000 people that don't give a fuck.
Right.
It's like, it doesn't matter whether or not you have 2,000 or 200,000. What matters is how many of those people are actually engaging with what you're doing.
Yeah, and how many of those people will inevitably pay you for your services of what you're promoting. Because, like, you can have thousands and millions of followers, that doesn't mean you're making money off of it.
Yeah,
it really
doesn't mean that they're customers either.
No.
And
And
they're even real followers.
you want you want your followers to turn into customers. That's the goal.
Well, let me ask you then. On Instagram today, in the 2018 Instagram, what would you suggest people do to further their profiles? Now that, shadow banning is a thing, now that those algorithms are no longer available to us, what's the move now?
I think there are two things you could do. First thing is really get your bio, like, perfect. Like, I don't care where you're from, okay? Like, unless your business is solely placed in that one state or location, you should not, like, that's just a waste of space. You only have X amount. You need to tell me exactly what you do in that bio. And you only have X amount of characters to do it.
So how would you feel, and I guess maybe both work, but compared to the people who do their bios where they give you a text blurb of what they do, or the people who give you like the one words of what they are, like blogger, and there's like a picture of a blog, podcaster, picture of a microphone.
Yeah.
They like which do you think is better? Those short and sweet, to the points, one word with a tiny emoji, or people who are giving you that small paragraph and letting you know what they are, or maybe both work. I don't know.
So I think it depends on what you're doing, and I also think it's preference to people. I personally like looking and having it bolded. That just like is appealing to me, but other people like the sentences and the paragraphs, but like I'm not going to sit there and read your paragraph. So it needs to be broken down for me. I don't care if it's one word, but like I want bullet points. Like I do have a sentence, but it's everything that I talk about. So like autoimmune diseases, hormone health, gut hormone health, gut health, all that stuff is like my first sentence. Then I go down and I have my website. I have a start here, which links to all my links. I have, and that's really it. It's very like XYZ. That's it. The next thing I think that's super important is niching down. You will not sell anything to everyone if you try to appeal to everyone. You won't. You need to really have that niche of very specific person, whoever your ideal client is. What do they need?
Well, it's like we were saying, stop trying to appeal to the 20,000 people out there and find the 20 people that you can really help or service.
But like, what's their ailment? Why do they need you?
Well, what would you recommend to somebody trying to find those people in the sea of social media? Where do you find that niche? Are you just diving into hashtags? Are you jumping onto subreddits? Like, what would you recommend to people to find that niche?
Right. So I think there's different ways. For me, I do it two ways. I do dive into hashtags, but I'm not diving into hashtags that have like thousands of, I'm like maybe 200 or less pictures on there, and I'm going through and I'm commenting on every picture. I'm sending each person a message, and not just a message, a video message of myself saying, hey Megan, loved what you put on there. I'm Chelsea. I see that we have a lot in common. You know what I mean? I'm letting them see my face. I'm getting very personal.
You're sliding into the DMs.
Yes.
Sliding in.
That's like the one tactic that I do. The other thing that I've been doing is I see who's connecting on my own content. So anyone who comments on mine, I always send them a message just saying thank you, or does a poll. I love that poll feature because it's a direct call out to the specific person that I want to hit. So if they say yes on like, oh, I'm feeling really bloated today. Is anyone else bloated? Yes. Why are you bloated? What's going on? I'm here to help you. I would love for you to join my free Facebook group. Like, you know what I mean? You want to slide into those people's DMs. And a lot of people won't answer you. And they'll probably think this is a robot.
Fair. Well, that's fair.
But I've gotten on the phone with quite a few people through Instagram doing that to go over like what they're going through, what I do, and that's resulted in clients. So like you have to, if that's your means, so like for me, that's my means. That's where I can find so many people who have this. I need to be on social media, and I need to slide into their DMs to show them like I'm a real person, I'm here for you.
It's not a bot or an algorithm out there responding to them. It's you as you are.
Which is why the whole video thing I think is a little strange, but
what video thing? Maybe I'm lost.
In direct messages on Instagram,
sliding into the DMs?
You can send a video.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing, because it's also a lot easier than typing.
That's fair. Unless you're copy and pasting.
But I don't like doing that.
No,
like
that
I want
doesn't
it
work
to
with-
be more personal.
You know-
I want to say, oh, your kid in that specific picture is so cute.
Yeah.
You know, like congrats on being a new mom, or like, oh, you said you have Hashimoto's. I do too.
Sure.
What's going on? I feel like that really resonates with people.
Well, it's because you're actually connecting with them on a one-on-one level, which is kind of what we all want in our content.
Right.
Like there's just to paint a broad image. I was watching a game streamer the other day, and I watch him a lot, and so I donated $5 to him, and then he saw I donated $5 to him, and he did this whole thank you so much. He sent me a message and all that. It's like, it's funny how it works. It's like, I don't know if I'm being mind fucked or if it's genuine. Could be both at the same time. But I was like, wow, he told me thank you.
That's nice.
I want to follow him more now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And you have an interest.
Well, it's like, how do you feel about people saying that, like, now it's a thank you economy? That, you can, a lot of people out there, like the guy I talked about, like me paying him the $5, he wasn't giving me anything. That stream was there for me whether I paid him $5 or not.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, I watch this guy so much.
Right.
Let me throw him a little something. Do you think that's a trend that's growing, that we're becoming more of a thank you economy where people might actually, you might be able to make money by people saying thank you for all that content you put up on YouTube? Or,
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that the more free content you give, people will likely trust you.
Yeah.
But I also think that the more free content you give will also want more free content as opposed to paying for that content. But I have a mentee or a mentor, not a mentee, who has helped me a lot with all this.
Would that make you the mentee?
Yes, I'm the mentee. Who has helped me like really navigate sliding into people's DMs and saying the thank yous. And like I don't really make money off of Instagram anymore. I used to when I was a food blogger.
Right.
But like now it's more of a platform for me to let people know that I'm targeting this specific person, and if you're that person, please stay here and please message me and interact with me. And if you're going through this, I got you.
Yep.
So
you know what they're going through.
Right,
too.
but it's free. Like I think the thank you aspect is a big part of social media in general, because no one's really paying you to be there and give what you're
That's
giving.
true. That's very true. It's so much. I'm a big fan of voluntary action. I think the more voluntary action we have in a society, the better. Like, I asked you to come on the podcast. You came on the podcast.
Yeah.
We did a podcast thing. I'd like to see us move more towards that. And I don't know, have you heard of Patreon? You know about Patreon?
No.
Okay, so Patreon is basically, I guess what I call is the cornerstone of the thank you economy.
Okay.
Basically, people like you or I set up a Patreon, and people who follow our content, they go to a place like Patreon to give us $5 a month.
Like a donation.
Like a
to
donation,
keep
a recurring
the
donation.
podcast alive. Yeah,
Exactly. But what you can do is people who choose to donate, say, fix it in post. People who choose to donate, say, $10 a month, you give them something a little extra. Because you're right. If you're giving out everything for free,
right,
it's much harder to monetize. But if you restrict a little bit, like give them one special blog post a month, give them an exclusive podcast every month,
right,
or let them watch it live while others who don't pay can't watch it live. Patreon allows you to do that if you offer to pay $10 a month, $15 a month. There's even some places where there's a guy who he makes hilarious videos online, and he was offering for someone to be his executive producer if they gave him enough money. And I said, fuck it. I was his executive producer for 5 months. So it also, so like if you're looking to invest into projects, or you're looking to invest and even get accredited for projects, Patreon's a good place to find that, which again, it's becoming a thank you economy. Yeah, no, it's really cool.
Interesting. So it's basically a platform where you can release your content for people to pay.
Yes.
For.
Yes, and people are basically paying you to say thank you. Like it's
right, donation.
Exactly. That's how it's all seen. It's seen as a donation, so it doesn't get taxed.
Yeah.
It's it's really
key.
cool. That's big key. I mean, if you want to keep the other 30% of your money, it's definitely really cool. But there are some people out there who launch Patreons and like they don't even push content.
Yeah.
It's like if you're going to do that, it's because you're giving away so much free content.
But you need to make sure that content that they're getting for whatever they're paying you is
worth it.
Really good.
Well, yeah.
I wouldn't want to donate and then find out all I'm getting is like a 1-page PDF of like a recipe. Like, no, I'm sorry.
No, I had something like that happen to me. I mean, have you heard of Fiverr?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went on Fiverr and I wanted some help creating some sort of social media plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I paid $10 to have the social media consultation plan, and all that person did was send me a fucking PDF.
Yeah. It's just not what we need. It's not what we're looking for. That should be the free content.
Yep.
If you're giving something that's worth money, it should be a course or a video or like
something exclusive.
Right.
You know?
That is not out there already, that I can't go on Google and find. But also that like really hits that ideal client. I feel like that ideal client is the key part into no matter what you're talking about, whether it's podcast, nutrition, anything. Having that ideal client is probably the first place you should start before you can even get donations. You know what I mean?
No,
like you
100%.
need that.
100%.
Who are you? Who's listening to this podcast? Who's going to visit my website? Who do I want that person to be?
You have to ask yourself, who are you servicing?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then all the content comes from that because I ask questions on social media and the answers I get, that's a blog post.
That's a good point. No, that's I might have to steal that.
You know,
I have to
go for
plagiarize
it.
that. Yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, that's all from my mentor, but he's awesome. His name is Tony Steffen. So if you're a dietitian and you need a mentor,
Shout out to Tony
he's
Steffen.
awesome. But he really taught me how to like really be genuine and like take every ounce of feedback or comment or question or anything and like really turn that into like that's what they're looking for. That's what they want. That's what they need help with. I can help them.
Yep.
I'm the person who can help you. So hire me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like donate to me. So I think that like before even going to that donation, you need to really nail
provide
down
them with value.
Right.
Yep.
What you're going to provide them because I'm not giving money to I probably give money to support a friend no matter what, but like I'm not giving money to get nothing in return.
And nobody should, and hopefully less people will.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to wrap it up.
Okay.
Between you and I, we did it.
Awesome.
Over an hour. We're chilling. Up top.
Cool beans.
This is Chelsea Gold with Chelsea Gold Nutrition. Chelsea, please tell the people where they can find you.
You could find me on Chelsea Gold Nutrition on all social media, Facebook, Instagram. I'm not on Twitter. But
fuck Twitter.
That was him, not me. But you could also find me at chelseagoldnutrition.com. It is under construction. We are rebranding, but don't worry, you will hear about that rebrand soon. And I believe that's it. Just Chelsea Gold Nutrition.
All right. Chelsea Gold, thank you for being on the Landi Lodge, episode number 6. Can't wait to have you on again.
Anytime.
Thank you.
See you later.